Hello everyone, welcome to Google Cloud Fundamental Core Infrastructure Lab. For today, we are going to explore getting started with VPC networking and Google Compute Engine. Let's talk a little about VPC networking. Google Cloud Virtual Private Cloud provide networking functionalities to Compute Engine virtual machine instances, Kubernetes Engine containers, and App Engine flexible environments. Without the VPC network, you cannot create a virtual machine instance, containers, or App Engine application. By default, every Google Cloud project comes with a default network when you launch your account. A VPC network is a global resource that consists of a list of regional virtual subnetworks, which are also known as subnets in data centers, all connected by a global wide area network. VPC networks are logically isolated from each other in Google Cloud. Let's start our lab. Our lab is starting. Then we'll open in an incognito window as usual. Copy the password. Paste it here. Understand? So I'll agree to the terms and conditions. Thereafter, we've done the setup and requirements. So the first task is to explore the default network. So let's explore the default network that we have in GCP. So to explore the default network, you can go to VPC network here from the navigation menu, then VPC network. So here we have, this is the default network. When you click on the default network, you can see we have a network in each of the region that Google Cloud provide. So here I have everything in different region, and you can take note of the IP address for each region. So if I'm creating a Compute Engine instance in Europe North 1, it's going to have this IP alias. It's only the last number that's going to change. So feel free to take a look at this. Thereafter, we can also view the routes. So to view the routes, click on routes, and you can also see the default routes that we have in different regions. Let me cancel out of this. So, and we have a default route to the internet. This 0.0.0.0/0. That's the default route to the internet. So the rest are default local routes to subnetwork. So these are automatically configured for us when you start up your GCP instance the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete everything and see if we can spin up a Compute Engine instance without having a virtual private network. So you can also check the firewalls. So some of the firewalls are also configured for us already. All these are configured for us, and you can see it here. So look at the priority value here. It's the same thing. So all these are configured for us before. So all these firewalls allow ICMP, allow HAGDP, allow SSH, allow internal. So they have different things they do in the GCP, and they also have what they enable us to do. And when you disable them, you are not able to do functionalities in GCP. I'll take a look at that as we go on in this lab. So the next thing is I'm going to delete the firewall rules. I'm also going to delete the default network. Then we'll see if we can create a virtual machine instance. Just to delete the firewall rule here, click on all the firewall rule, then click on delete. Delete this. So this is deleted already. So I also have to delete the VPC network. Click on VPC, click on default, Then I'll delete this. Automatically, when my VPC network is deleted, I'm not supposed to have any routes again, because when there's no VPC network, there's no routes that your connection is going through. Okay, our default network is successfully deleted, so I'll just do a refresh of it to see that I'm up to page. So let's check if we have any routes at the moment. So let me refresh this. There's no yeah, you can see there's no route at the moment, and also the firewall deleted all our firewalls, and likewise we don't have a VPC network, so invariably we would not have any IP address also. So let's try to create a virtual machine instance. Go to Compute Engine, go to VM instance. Here we are on VM instance. Click on Create Instance. After creating instance, just leave it the default value and just try to click on Create. So when you try to click on Create, it's telling us make sure all fields are correct to continue. So let me go to the issues. Here we are on the issues. So it said no more network available in this project. So we don't have a network because we've deleted all the VPC network, and we also don't have a sub network in this project. So invariably we cannot create a virtual machine instance without having a network. So now let's go create a new network. So to create a new network, you go back to your VPC network. Under VPC network, and you click create VPC. So don't forget, we are following the lab instruction. So to create a VPC network, we have to name the network my network and set everything as required here. So I would name the network my network, remove the trailing full stop, and I'm going to use a subnet creation mode of automatic. It's a similar configuration to the default network that we deleted. Then we'll click on all the firewall rule here. So you can see the priority of the firewall rule. So there is a deny all ingress and allow all egress by default on the firewall rule. But these firewall rules, they take a lower priority because they have a higher integer values. So if these are already assigned, these two would not function because they take a lower priority value, and these ones that has lower integer values takes higher priority. So any other thing? Yeah, you can just take a look at it one more time. We are good to go. Then you click on create. So it's creating the VPC network for us. Okay, our VPC network is created. So let's look at the next instruction. Here we are. The next thing we want to do is we want to create a virtual machine instance in US Central 1. And this is the name of our virtual machine instance we are going to use. So to go to Compute Engine, you can click on this and just open this in a new tab so that we can just shuffle in between the two. So we are on our Compute Engine page. Click on Create Instance. After creating your instance, change the name. US Central 1. So let's use the zone US Central 1A. This is US Central 1A. And we are using the E2 series. We are changing this to the lowest memory here. So thereafter we'll click on create, and you can see it's creating our virtual machine instance for us. Yes, our virtual machine instance has been created. Let's see the next instruction. The next instruction is to create another virtual machine instance in Europe Central 2, and we'll name it mynet EUVM. Same configuration, just a different locality and a different name, of course. So change the name. We are using Europe Central 1 here. Let me confirm. Europe Central 2, and we'll use Europe Central 2A. So let's go to Europe Central 2, Europe Central 2A. We'll change this to use the micro here. After that, we click on create. So our second virtual machine instance is getting created. So let's wait for it to get created. Yeah, so here we are. So you take a look at the internal IP. You can see the internal IP for US Central 1, 10.128. That's the IP range for US Central 1. And when we went to Europe Central 2, the IP range changes, which is 10.186.0. So that's fine. So what's the next thing we have to do? Let's check if we've completed this. So the next thing I want to do is I want to explore the connectivity for our virtual machine instances. So let's check if our two virtual machine instance can talk to their self. So we'll go to the MyNet US and we'll SSH into it, and let's see if we can communicate with the MyNet EU VM, the one in the Europe Central. Let's see if the one in US can communicate with the one in US Central. So I'm just going to go to the US zone, click on SSH. So when I SSH it, I want to talk to the virtual machine in the Europe instance from the US instance. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ping at it, and I'm going to replace this with the internal IP address for the one in Europe. Here we are. So paste your code here, and then we'll change this to the internal IP address for the one in Europe. Here we are. This is the one in Europe. This is the internal IP address. Let's copy it. Let's see. Yes. So you can see 3 packets transmitted, 3 packets received. So that means they could communicate with one another. So let's do for the external IP address for this same one. Just going to copy the external IP address for this one. Yeah, you can see 3 packets received, also 3 packets transmitted, and 0 packets lost. That means they could communicate with themselves. I'm going to SSH into the Europe and see if we can talk to the one in US Central 1. So let's also do that. So let's copy the internal IP address for the US Central 1 one. Waiting for my SSH key connection to be established. So let me just do that. Let's see, yeah, we can also communicate with this. So let me do for the external IP address. I'm going to copy the external IP address here. Click on enter. And you can also see the packets were transmitted and the packets were received. Yeah, great. So what's the next thing we have to do for this lab? We've checked the connectivity. So which firewall role allows the ping to MyNet EU virtual machine external IP address? Yeah, take a bit and think through. I think it's the ICMP. Yeah, correct. So the ICMP firewall allows us to ping between the MyNet EU's VM external IP address. So let's keep going. We want to remove the firewall rule, the allow ICMP firewall rule, and see if we can talk to the external IP address of a virtual machine instance. So this is what I'm going to do. Go back to our page here and go to your firewall. So when you're on your firewall, I'm just going to remove this firewall rule. I'm going to delete it. Yeah, so here we are. This is the SSH. So this is our EU's VM, and let's see if we can talk to the internal IP address. So this is the internal IP address. The internal IP address should work fine, but let's see. Yeah, the internal IP address still works fine. 3 packet transmitted, 3 packet received. But let's do the same thing for the external IP address. Here we are. The external IP address is not working because we've removed the firewall rule configuration. So 3 packet transmitted, 0 received, and 100% packet loss. So there was no reception for this. There was no connection between the external IP address. So let me do this also for the US virtual machine. Just going to check the internal IP address first. This should work fine also. Yeah, works fine. So let's check for the external IP. No, there's no connection between the external IP address, and that's because we've deleted the ICMP firewall. So great, let's keep going. So what's the next thing we want to do? We want to also remove the custom firewall rule and make it affect the internal IP address. So the ICMP works for the external IP address, but the custom firewall rule works for the internal IP address. So same process. Go to your firewall, then take the custom, delete the custom, and let's check for our internal IP address. Yeah, this is deleted. So I'm going to go back to I'm on my EU's virtual machine. Just going to go to the external IP to the internal IP address rather. So the external IP address did not work because we've removed the ICMP. So now that I removed the custom, let's see what's going to happen. I'm trying to ping into it. Yeah, so it's not connecting also. 3 packet transmitted, 0 received, 100% packet loss. So let's try for the other one and see if it can talk to the internal IP address. Yeah, likewise, you can see we are unable to talk to the internal IP address. 3 packet transmitted, 0 received, 100% packet loss. Yeah, so this is just to show the firewall rules as effect in what we are doing, and depending on the configuration you want for your virtual machine instance, you can play around the firewall rule and see what works best for your scenario. Great. So the next thing we want to do is we want to remove the SSH firewall rules. We don't want to be able to SSH into our terminals or into our virtual machine instance. So to stop SSH, to remove the SSH, you have to remove the allow SSH firewall rules. So just come in here, go to your firewall, remove the SSH, the allow SSH, this, delete it. So our virtual machine page, let's attempt to SSH into any of the instances. It should not work because we've removed the firewall rule. But let's see. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that it threw an error. We are unable to connect to the virtual machine on port this. So let's do the same thing for the other one. It's also going to throw the same error. But let's see. Yeah, so likewise, it's not working. It's unable to connect to this and this. And that's because we've removed the allow SSH firewall rule. So, great. And that's a wrap of this lab. So let's go over the review. So in this lab, we've explored the default networks along with its subnets, the routes, and the firewall rules. And we deleted the default network and noticed that we cannot create any virtual machine instance without a VPC network. Then we create a new VPC network with the auto mode with subnets, routes, firewall rules, and 2 virtual machine instances. And we also tested the connectivity of the virtual machine instance. We also played around the effectivity of the firewall rules on the connectivity. So when we stopped some firewall rules, when we deleted some firewall rules, we noticed that we could not do some certain things on the virtual machine. So just to recap, move the ICMP firewall would not allow connection to the external IP address. And when you remove the custom firewall rule, you would not be able to access the virtual machine through the internal IP address. And when you remove the allow SSH rule, you are not going to be able to SSH into your virtual machine instance. So that's the end of this lab. So just as you know, this lab is quite fundamental, but that showed us the basis of virtual private cloud networking and the Google Compute Engine, and we can see how they work hand in hand with one another. So thanks very much for staying through. If you enjoyed this lab, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to my channel for more videos, and comment your thoughts in the comment section. See you in the next lab. Bye for now.